Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the Men Save Your Marriage show. My name is Terry. I'm your host. I did an autopsy on my failed marriage, and now I use the lessons that I learned to coach other men on how to save their marriage before it fails. I'm going to share with you the things I wish someone would have shared with me before my marriage failed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back. You just heard the bell. That means it's time to get into the ring, and that's where we are. We find ourselves once again in the ring, in the fight to save your marriage. So welcome in, and we're going to get started here with the next round, and this is going to be episode number 17. As you know, my name is Terry. I'm thrilled to be your host and thrilled to have you here today. We're going to jump into episode 17, or I guess if you want to stick with a boxing ring theme, round 17, but we're going to talk about growing together, how to support her dreams without losing yours or losing yourself. So welcome back. We're going to jump right into this, and this is it's often overlooked topic, how to encourage your wife's personal and professional growth while balancing that with your own ambitions. And I'll tell you one of the things that I've ran into is many guys over prioritize either their wife's dreams and they lose themselves, or they focus only on their own goals, leaving their wives feeling unsupported. Now, you're fighting to save your marriage. You want to grow stronger together, and you want to grow deeper and closer and more meaningful to each other. And this is one of those areas where you're going to have to kind of develop an understanding for this. And that's why I wanted to talk about this subject today. Because the key to this, to really how to support her and her dreams without losing yourself, and how you can not over prioritize her, but still be like her number one cheerleader and not lose yourself, or how you cannot just solely focus on your dreams, leaving her feeling unsupported. The key here is mutual growth and balance. That's the key. And so we want to talk about this because this never gets talked about. So we're going to jump into this today. As always, I'm going to come at you with 3 primary points. We're going to build on each one of those. So let's jump into the first one here, and we're going to talk about the importance of mutual support in personal and professional growth. And to begin with, I think it's important we understand, and you know this, but I'm going to say it anyway, marriage is not a solo race. Marriage is a team sport. That's all there is to it. There's 2 of you. It is a team sport. And when both partners feel supported in their goals, the marriage has the potential to thrive. But what happens when support is missing? Well, resentment tends to build when one spouse feels like their dreams don't matter. So if you've lost yourself in supporting her, you could feel like your dreams don't matter, or you're so focused on your dreams that she feels like hers don't matter. So resentment can build. A lack of growth here leads to stagnation, which can absolutely make a marriage feel lifeless. And also, when only one person grows, it creates distance between partners. How many times have you talked to a buddy or somebody in your world that maybe they have a divorce, or they got divorced, or they maybe separated and came back together? One of the things you always hear, and I hear it over and over and over again, is we just grew apart. Well, sometimes that's her growing one way and you growing another. But sometimes it's one of you growing and the other one not growing at all. That's why this is so critical, because this never gets talked about in this way. And I think it's important for you to take a minute, take this episode for these next, 10, 15, 20 minutes, recognize what I'm saying and start asking yourself, is this something that maybe has gone on in my marriage? Is the problems, one of the problems, or a contributing factor to my current struggling marriage, the fact that I haven't supported her, or that's all I've done is support her, and I really don't know who I am or which way I'm going? So these are some of the things that can happen, and this is what happens when support is missing. Now, what does healthy support look like? Well, encouraging your wife's dreams without feeling like it threatens your own. That's obviously important. Being her biggest cheerleader. Like I said, your number one fan while expecting the same in return. If you are her number one fan, then there's nothing wrong with you expecting her to be yours. And if she is your number one fan and you're not supporting her, then you're dropping the ball. You need to know this. Also, communicating openly about goals so that you grow together and not, like I said earlier, grow apart. If you're not communicating about goals, you will absolutely grow apart. And so for this first point here, I want to, kind of the highlighter, the takeaway here is supporting each other is not about sacrificing your own identity. It's about making sure that both of you reach your full potential. And marriage can actually provide that. And if you've thought up to this point that marriage is a hindrance, then you've thought about it wrong. Because just imagine your lover, your friend, your wife, all of those things, and she's also your number one cheerleader, or you're her number one cheerleader. This is a potential place for such significant growth. And I see it all the time in the marriages that I may talk about and talk to, and the guys that I talk with. This is absolutely critical. So supporting each other, again, it's not about sacrificing your own identity. And she can never lose herself in an identity that she's your wife. She has to be her own person. But you can be her number one cheerleader. She can be your number one cheerleader. And then you both can really maximize your potential. And in the process, by being that cheerleader, by knowing what her goals are, her knowing what your goals are, you guys are, in a way, growing together. You may have your lane and she may have hers, but you're growing together instead of growing apart. That is absolutely critical. All right, so the second highlight, and the second thing I want to highlight here we talk about is tips, kind of some suggestions for balancing her dreams and yours, because you have to understand what's going on, and then you have to be able to do that. So first of all, get clear on each other's goals. I mean, just sit down and have a real conversation over a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or whatever about where you both want to go in life. What does she want? And what do you want? Are one of you trying to ascend in your professional career, or one of you's growing a business? Does she want to raise the kids and be a housewife? You need to know what she wants and what her goals are, and she needs to know what your goals are. Okay, so here's a few questions to ask each other. Imagine you just sit down and ask, what's a personal, professional goal that excites you? Not what you want to achieve, what excites you, because you're getting insight into what turns her on, what gets her motivated, as it were. Okay, and in an accomplishment way, whether that's raising the kids, or whether that's the career that she's chasing, whether that's a business she's building, whatever it is, what personal or professional goal excites you? Here's another one. Just straight out asking, what support do you need from me? Now you're just making yourself available. How can I help? How can I support? I'm not putting my stipulations on it. I'm not telling you how I can support you based on what I think you may want. I'm just flat out asking, how can I help? How can I support you? That's perfect. Here's another one. How can we make sure both of our goals fit into our life together? Now you cannot get any more foundational than that. What is it you want to accomplish? What turns you on? What gets you excited? What gets you motivated? And at the same turn, here's what does it for me. Now, how do we build a life that encompasses both of those? Okay, so get clear on each other's goals. Here's another suggestion, a crazy one you've probably never heard, but don't be afraid to schedule dream meetings. Okay, I don't know, every month, every couple of months, maybe once a quarter, whatever. Just check in on your goals, right? Maybe and figure out, maybe it's an afternoon drive where we just talk back and forth about where we're at, what we're struggling with, where we're headed, what our goals are. Have a dream meeting between the two of you, because then as you talk it through, you already know what her goals are. Now when you have a dream meeting, you can hear from her where does she need to make adjustments, so, and you do this so that neither one of you feel like overshadowed or unsupported, because you're checking in regularly. It doesn't have to be every day or every week, but maybe every couple of months or every few months, or maybe you as a husband that's paying attention, maybe you notice whatever it is she's chasing, maybe it's building a business as an example, and you notice you had a dream meeting 6 weeks ago or whatever, and it seems as if she's had back to back rough days. Maybe it's time to say, hey, why don't we go for a drive? Let's just check in. Is something going on? Is there a different way I can support you right now? There's nothing wrong with that. So schedule dream meetings. The next thing I would suggest is take turns being in the spotlight. Sometimes one spouse's career goal will take priority for a season. That's okay, as long as it's balanced over time. Okay? If your wife is starting a business, as this is an example, you may take, on more at home for a while. Later, when you're launching something new, she does the same. That's how you understand. Oh, she needs some spotlight time for now. I'm good. I can take care of a few extra things. We're okay, because somewhere down the road you're going to need it. Also, define what support looks like. Everyone needs different kinds of support. Does she need encouragement, practical help, maybe a financial investment? So when you're asking these questions and when you're having these dream meetings and when you're talking about these things, don't be afraid to drill down and just, okay, I hear what you're saying, but just be extra clear with me. Help me. What does support look like? Can you define that for me? And then make sure you're supporting her in the way that she actually needs, not just how you assume she wants. Don't assume it, just ask it. And then when she tells you, support her in that way. And this is, the kind of the big thought here, and the takeaways. When you balance each other's dreams, you create a marriage where both of you feel seen, valued, and excited about the future. I mean, there is nothing better in the world than having a wife that is engaged and feels valued and feels seen, knows I'm having a problem. We could have a little meeting here. We could go for an afternoon drive and talk or something, and I know that he will support me however I need. Okay? These are the steps it's going to take for you to build the life together that you want. And then finally, the third highlight here and the third point is setting boundaries to avoid losing yourself. And this is where we have to be careful about some things. Supporting her dream doesn't mean abandoning your own. That's critical. Also, her supporting your dream doesn't mean she should abandon her own. Here's some common mistakes that men make. One, and this is from my experience, overcommitting to her goals while neglecting your own. Because you want to support her, you want to be her biggest cheerleader, and you overcommit to help her, and then you end up putting your dreams on a back burner. Okay, you still have to have your dreams. You're still an individual person with things that motivate you and encourage you, and things that kind of light your fire that don't necessarily light hers. So you cannot just support her at all costs and forsake yourself. So you cannot overcommit to her goals while neglecting your own. Also, you shouldn't feel guilty about prioritizing your own ambitions, or feel guilty for prioritizing her ambitions. Again, you got to walk this line. Maybe for a season she's in the spotlight, but then for a season you're in the spotlight. Maybe, what happens if you get a new promotion at work? Well, you're going to need to invest some extra time for the next few months because I got this promotion. This is a department, or this is a position I've never, overseen before. So I've got some learning to do, and there's going to be a learning curve here where I'm going to be kind of busy. I got to put in some extra hours and some extra time. And that's one of those things you have to understand that. Also, just because you succeed does not mean your wife will feel supported. It's a very common mistake I see with men. You think that your success, because she's so tied to you, your success will mean she automatically feels supported. And that is not the case. You need to support her in her dreams, not just assume that she feels supported because she's along with you in your dreams. And these are just some of the common mistakes guys make that I've seen regularly. And how do you set these healthy boundaries? One, you protect personal time. You need to have at least one hobby or goal or pursuit that's just for you. Whatever it is for you, just one, at least, to where that's time for you, not you and her. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that all your hobbies or all of your things are just exclusively yours. I've got some guys I deal with. I'm thinking of one gentleman. It's golfing, it's fishing, it's hunting, and he's gone all the time, and she's not interested in any of that. And that's one of the things that when we started working on saving his marriage and suggesting these things to him, he had to figure out, okay, of all the things that I do, what are the most important, and where can I cut back, and where can I trim some stuff out of my own personal life so that we have time together? Because what he found was he really wasn't supporting her at all. He felt like he was because he's paying the bills and he was succeeding and work was going well and that kind of stuff, but he wasn't really supporting her. So, have at least something that's yours. And also communicate when you need support. You do not have the right to be upset with her if she didn't even know you needed her support. Likewise, she doesn't really have the right to be upset with you if she needed your support and you didn't give it because you did not know. Okay? That's why the dream meetings or the check-in meetings are so critical. And you need to lead by just asking, how's it going? How can I support you? Do you still need the same support you needed before or something different? Check in, but communicate when you need support. Okay? And you can't just give support, you have to receive it as well. And if you refuse to receive support, then you're cheating her out of an opportunity to give to you. And if she doesn't allow you to support her, then she's cheating you out of an opportunity to give. So it's critical that you not only give support, but you receive it. Make sure you're both carrying the load. Don't let one person's dream become a burden on the other. This is typically, this one is not one of the big highlights, but it can at times. You know, you see somebody that's maybe their career starting to take off as a professional of some sort, and then you realize they're never around. They're just there for, you know, they're the last parent in for a performance. They miss, you know, student teacher conferences, those kinds of things. You can't continue to carry the load without support, and she can't continue to carry the load without you supporting her. So here I want to suggest that kind of as a wrap up for this point, a strong marriage is built when both people are growing, not when one person sacrifices everything for the other. That's absolutely critical. And I want to pause here before my closing thoughts. I saved myself a couple of minutes here. This is one of the areas when I started to do the autopsy on my marriage. When I looked back, I realized I was really coming into my professional self at the end of the 1990s and really starting to grow and promotions and that kind of thing. And we had, by the time we got to 2003, I've got an 11-year-old stepson. I've got a son that's getting ready to turn 3, and then I've got a set of twins, a boy and a girl, that are newborn. And I get this huge promotion. And I got so wrapped up in that promotion. Looking back now, I see it perfectly clearly. Back then, I thought I was doing the right thing by chasing the job, by working 90 and 100 hours a week so that I could be successful, because in my mind, that correlated to my family's success. But she was putting the kids to bed at night alone, and Dad wasn't here. And I was doing long-term damage that I did not even realize then. So you cannot let her carry the load, and you can't carry the load. And what you will find, if you're not careful and if you make some of the stupid mistakes that I made, is you're growing because you're being stretched, you're being pulled, you're being, challenged to rise to new highs and to accomplish new things. And she is feeling defeated. She's feeling left alone. She's feeling abandoned by you because she's going through the same old thing every day while you're over here growing. That is a surefire recipe for your marriage to fail. I know that from firsthand experience. Did my marriage fail back then? No, it was years in the making. But I can look back and see that's where it started, and the fault lies with me. Make no mistake. So strong marriage is built when both people are growing, not when one person sacrifices everything for the other. And finally, just a couple of closing thoughts here. Growth in marriage is not about choosing between her dreams and yours. Okay? It's about growing together and taking action. Have a conversation this week. This is what I want you to do to take action. Okay? Again, growth in marriage isn't about choosing between her dreams or yours. It's about growing together. But take action. Have a conversation this week about both of your goals. Have one of these meetings. It may not be a dream meeting yet. It may just be, hey, what are you chasing? What excites you? What motivates you? And then, that's different than me because this is what motivates me. Here's a way you can do that. So this is what I want you to do this week. When you listen to this episode, take action. Just a conversation about your goals and hers. Both of your goals, okay? And then the final step is I want you to share this episode with another man. You've got another man in your life where his marriage is not where he wants to be. You've heard him complain about it. You know they're separated, or you know he's sleeping on the sofa or in a separate bedroom, whatever. That guy needs to hear these episodes. He needs to step into the ring and fight for his marriage. So I want you to take action in your marriage and have a conversation this week about both of your goals. And I want you to share this episode and the podcast series with another man in your world who you know he needs to fight for his marriage, or he is fighting for his marriage. That's it, guys. Thank you. We kept it under a tight 20 minutes. That is excellent. I can't wait to hear feedback from this. Again, you know what to do. Have a conversation this week and share this episode with another man in your world, all right? Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it. I look forward to having you on the next episode. In the meantime, go take care of your family, continue to fight for your marriage, and have a great day.